Anthony Joshua!
Aren't many fighters not named Canelo Alvarez that can pack 70,000 in the house, but this is par for the course for Anthony Joshua.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
World, Anthony Joshua. This man has become an icon in many ways for what he's been able to do outside of the ring.
Rank Jake Paul if he wins this fight, and that will put him in position at least to fight for a world title. Whatever you want to say about Jake Paul, we were all there.
It's captured the imagination and generated huge interest. Two men who split opinion, a fight that splits opinion. It has to be the most eagerly anticipated 8-rounder that any of us.
The upcoming fight between Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul is shaping up to be a truly electrifying showdown. Joshua enters the ring with world-class power, depth of experience, and an Olympic pedigree that few can match. On the other side, Jake Paul brings speed, unpredictability, and an unshakable confidence that has pushed him into challenges most thought he would never dare to take.
That's all right, though. Yeah, no. Rock, they said no photos, Rock. Huh? They said no photos.
Okay, we'll do that, yeah.
But this is what we signed up for, and he's very tall, but that means I can use my speed and my size.
Analysts are already breaking down strategies, predicting an explosive opening few rounds. Both fighters are coming into this matchup in peak physical condition, and that combined intensity has turned this event into one of the most intriguing clashes in recent boxing memory. Jake Paul enters this fight with a level of confidence that has surprised even veteran boxing observers. Many commentators have noted how laser-focused and mentally locked in he appears. Unlike earlier fights where he leaned heavily on hype, Jake is treating this challenge with serious intent. Analysts say his belief stems from disciplined training, improved technique, and a mindset that embraces the pressure of facing a former heavyweight champion. He knows the magnitude of this moment, and he's using it as fuel rather than fear.
He's very big. I'm here to shock the world, inspire the next generation. We're in the Heat arena. I'm a big Heat fan. Miami's on fire. This is my first pro fight, was in Miami against Gibb. I'm bringing that same energy.
BJ Flores, respected analyst and former pro fighter, takes a more cautious stance. He acknowledges that Joshua may not be in his absolute prime, but he warns that the matchup remains extremely dangerous for Jake Paul. In Flores' view, Joshua's experience, physical size, and technical skill create a level of difficulty Jake has never faced before. He suggests this fight may be arriving too early in Jake's competitive journey, creating real risk for the rising star.
Andy Garcia, I don't think that means you're punchy. I think that means he's fought the best fighters, the best heavyweights over the last 15 years, and he's fallen short, of course, but he's a very, 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 he's a very big man. He's got that Olympic pedigree, and that makes the fight against him very difficult.
It does indeed, what do you think is the upside? There's always an upside for this fight against Jake. I guess, if I play sort of the viewer's perspective, what people are saying on Twitter, they're saying it's a win-win for Jake. You fight a two-time former heavyweight world champion in Anthony Joshua. If you get knocked out, it's no big deal. And if you lose, if you get knocked out, you get the respect of the public as well for taking the fight. If you win, you're the king,
Yeah. The upside is, I think, I don't know. Like, everyone's like, oh, I respect Jake. I'm just like, it's just crazy that you would have to fight, a former world heavyweight champion, 6'6", 240-pound gold medalist. That's the only way you get people's respect. Like, there's a lot of other ways. Like, and if you don't get everybody's respect, those people just don't really understand boxing. Like I said, I feel like this fight is a little early for Jake. Obviously, I would like to see him fight one heavyweight before this fight happened, at least one heavyweight, and then maybe see him, be in there with a guy world rated in any weight, cruiserweight, heavyweight, anything before you go in with a guy like Anthony Joshua. It's just a massive difference on the size and the power and everything. But I guess, if the objective is to make people talk and make people say, oh man, he's crazy, then he's getting exactly that. He's getting what he wants. So to me, it doesn't make sense. This fight doesn't make sense to me at all, but I think it would be there down the road. I'd much rather see like a Canelo fight than an AJ.
Bowie Knight pushes back against critics who still question Jake Paul's legitimacy. He emphasizes that Jake has real knockout power strong enough to threaten seasoned professionals. Knight argues that Paul's ability to hold his own in high-pressure fights proves he's far more than a novelty act. His punching power, discipline, and increasing skill set give credibility to his claim that he can enter the ring with Joshua and genuinely compete.
Smiling and frowning at the same time. You must be smiling because it's happening and you're getting a mega payday, but surely you must be frowning at the fact that this kid and others out there believe that he stands a chance of even beating you. And look, if the stars align, maybe Jake Paul could close his eyes, he could put his head down, he could throw a punch sent from the heavens, and he could clip AJ on the chin with it. But even if he does, I'd put my money on it that it doesn't do anything. I don't think it does anything to Anthony Joshua, even if Jake Paul does manage to clip him, because Joshua's never been hard to hit anyway. But the difference between getting hit by a Jake Paul and getting hit by a Daniel Dubois is monumental, and even that is an understatement. And the difference for Jake Paul in getting hit by a Nate Diaz compared to an Anthony Joshua is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. What do you think AJ would do to Nate Diaz? What do you think AJ would do to Tommy Fury? Come to think about it, what do you think Francis Ngannou would do to Jake Paul? And look at how that went. So either way, what I'm saying here is quite simple, right? Jake's style is very, very easy for Anthony Joshua to navigate. And that is even if the skill set between the two were on par, because although he's getting better at them, Jake still makes many fundamental flaws. He leans over his front foot when he jabs, and that's a problem, because when you do that, you're always gonna have the potential to be countered.
Experts also highlight the massive experience gap between the two fighters. Anthony Joshua has fought and often beaten some of the most dangerous heavyweights of his era. Even after a 14-month layoff, his mastery of ring IQ, strategic movement, and in-fight adjustments give him an advantage Jake has never dealt with before. Analysts stress that this fight may be decided not by raw strength, but by the depth of Joshua's experience and composure under pressure.
Correct me if I'm wrong, right? And just to clarify, I don't class Otto Wallin as a very competitive fight. Every competitive fight that AJ is in from now until the end of his career, and has been in for the last few years, I believe has taken something out of him. Every time he's in a competitive fight, even when he's won, and I'm not saying taken out of him to the extent where he's no longer a good fighter, no longer can do anything, but every single one has taken one out of him. So let's say, for example, you go down the Tony Yoka route and you can sell it as the 2 Olympic gold medalists and whatever. It's a lose-lose, mate. You're expected to knock him out. If you don't, then you go the distance. I think that's going to take something out of you. I actually think that this could be better prep for a Tyson Fury fight. Just
mentally as well, because he smokes him and it looks great, and then he's confident.
This is what I'm saying, right? Not just from a stylistic boxing standpoint, but from the mental standpoint of the fact that if you go in there and you smoke Jake Paul, straight away, all of a sudden, it's headline news, it's massive, and as well as that, you're coming in off the back of something that's impressive, right? We all felt like the Francis Ngannou performance was really impressive, but it wasn't followed up with an impressive performance. So it doesn't actually determine whether or not...
This is worse. This is worse than that. I don't know what you're thinking, Lawrence, but the Ngannou one, you could at least say heavyweight. You could say that his pedigree. So we didn't really...
On the distance
while
of
he
Fury
was coming from a different kind of method of fighting, end of the day, he's still a champion.
Recent commentary from Bart Kwan, Joe Jitsukawa, Ryan Aim, and Steve Green highlights a major shift in the way the boxing world views Jake Paul. Once mocked as a YouTube entertainer, he is now, slowly but undeniably, being acknowledged as a legitimate athlete. This shift comes from the growing caliber of his opponents and the visible improvements in his technique, conditioning, and strategy. Trainers, commentators, and fans now recognize Jake as someone who can genuinely compete, not just entertain. This evolving reputation adds even more anticipation to his upcoming fights, as each matchup becomes a new test of his legitimacy and growth as a professional boxer.